So for this year's behind the scenes, I decided to start up front. Honestly, there's not a lot that's changed from my previous year's videos. The only thing that's different for this year is I used to have receiver boards up front here, and I've swapped them out for the Cult K4 controllers, one over here and one way over there. The reason being is I like to leave these up year round, and with them being wireless, I no longer had to run network cables through my yard. It's been a great addition. It's worked really well. There's no complaints I've had for it so far. My push to play, this thing has been out here for what? This is year number 3 in the rain. The radio's fine. The speaker's fine. I'm quite surprised because I forgot about it a few days and then it was rained on pretty hard, but it survived. It's doing well. So I honestly expected to have to replace the speaker by now, so I haven't, which is cool. So on my roof this year, before I go up there, just kind of highlight some of the changes. Is the snowflakes that are on my roof, I switched out this year to 128 pixel K flakes from Gilbert Engineering. The snowflakes at the top are this year are new. They're the XLS 450s, which are 48 inches in diameter. And then I added 2 pixel poles on either side and replaced both of my Boscoyo Mesmerizers with new ones this year, just so I had the fireproof Coro. But I'll go up there and kind of walk through how everything's actually set up. So for the snowflakes on my roof, all of them are sitting on the roof with the PVC frame that I built many years ago for the previous snowflakes. And then just a half of a Kevlar sandbag meant for canopies, just sitting there holding it in place. Then to mount them, I designed and 3D printed this little bracket that's zip tied to the snowflake and then zip tied onto the PVC frame. It's worked really well. It worked well in previous years also. And the only time I had an issue this year is when we had those 60, 70 mile an hour winds that pretty much destroyed everything anyway. But since that point, it's actually been great. So for the Boscoyo Mesmerizers, they essentially sit on a frame that I built down here that then has guy wires holding another frame that I built around it together all the way around. You can see the turnbuckles down here. For the base mounting, I welded up and added these brackets. You'll notice that it allows for the positioning and angle of the roof line to keep it nice and flat and straight. If I walk around to the back, sorry for the jitteriness, you'll notice at the top I just have a carabiner up there holding it in place so that I can clip it up, clip it down if I need to. The bracket you see on the back, the mounting there, that's from Inspired Lights. I 3D printed all of the pieces. I bought the STLs from him, and it's 3/4 inch EMT. In the middle here, there's a 1/2 inch piece of steel rod that goes through it that this is bracketed to so that the weight and pressure and then held up there. And again, just the guy wires in the back. That's how I mount these. Now for my pixel poles, which are 16 by 72 at 1 inch spacing, this tower right here is actually 8 feet tall. You can see the bottom 2 feet are open air. I wanted it that way so it kind of blended into the overall layout of my house. This is 3/4 inch 14 gauge steel that I just put together, welded together. For the guy wires to connect, I went ghetto style and just used nuts and welded it on there with carabiners. Then it comes down and connects in here and then connects back in over there. There's also one in the front. It's worked really well. I actually expected in the 60, 70 mile an hour winds for this to have an issue, and it had no issue. I'm quite surprised. I'm probably going to make this the full 8 feet tall next year, just because I think it'll look better. I just didn't have enough pixels this year, so we'll see what happens. So for my XLS 450 flakes, these ones are a little different. So the towers are 10 feet tall, You can see the corner brackets I built up there. There's also another one here in the middle that comes across. And then you'll see at the very top there's a pulley and just carabiners holding it up. It's just hanging there. I did that so if I knew wind was coming in or I needed to take it down or whatever the case may be, I could simply unclip it from the bottom and bring the entire Snowflake down for whatever reason I needed to, which has worked out really, really well. For the bottom mounting, it's the same as the Boscoyo Mesmerizer. You can see the side pieces here. For the guy wires, so there's two guy wires you see at the top that come all the way down and then connect back over there. They really don't add a whole lot of structural support. They're really there to keep the Snowflake centered, and it's worked well. It allows for it to move a little, but not flop all over. As far as the bracing you see on the XLS 450, that again is from Inspired Light Shows. It's 1/2 inch EMT on every leg of it, and then just steel cable holding it together, again with another carabiner. Nothing real special. You can see all the guy wires back here. There's actually a ton of guy wires back here, as you can see. There's, I think, 6 on each and every one of these towers holding it in place. For my mini trees, these are actually identical to last year. In last year's video, I kind of walked through it in detail, but just at a high level, it's a 3/4 inch piece of EMT that I bent a 90 on. It's down there with, I guess they call it wind. I don't know what anchors are called anymore. But, and then the bottom ring is just one I welded together. It was from a fireplace holder, I believe, that I cut in half. And just using Boscoyo strips and then the 3D printed topper I have. So it's 16 by 50. Kind of as how everything is powered. I know I have this all covered up, but essentially it's going to be the same all the way around. Sorry for the jitteriness, is each box has a receiver board. I reused expansion boards as for power injection. There's 2 LRS 350-12s in each one of these boxes. There's a box here that's running these 2 mini trees. Each mini tree has its own power supply. This one's identical, running all of these snowflakes. For my Boscoyo Mesmerizers, because it's 4 ports, I just have a single box with another meanwhile in it. Same situation here for the pixel poles, because it's on 4 ports, it gets its own single box. And then I have a bunch of other boxes all the way down for the spin archies. There's 2 spin archies on one of the boxes. Another spin archie is only using 2 ports out of that one box over there. And it's very much the same on the other side of my house. So I try to limit no more 12-volt pixels than, you know, the 1117 that are on the Mesmerizers the most on any one power supply. Kind of bit me this year because of the AC draw, but it's a lot safer to keep the power supplies underutilized overall. That's about it. Let me know if you have any questions.